Some of the riders who I spoke with today said they would never take a Metrolink train at night, which is when some of these robberies have been happening. The most recent on Saturday night at 10 minutes to midnight when one person was shot at the Belleville Metrolink station. Drivers, unfortunately, are not taking all of the advice we've been giving. They are still driving through Frank Scott Parkway, and as soon as they do that, you see a water park effect, just water completely flooding up and spraying past the drivers. Tonight, Dr. Jill Stein, a Green Party candidate for president, is in Columbia, Missouri at a protest, but last night she was here at WashU, taken away in handcuffs after being charged with assault. I was the first news reporter who spoke with her after she was released from jail less than 10 minutes after that release. This is the garage door of the Lincoln County family home that was engulfed in flames on Wednesday night after a propane tank went up in flames. The two little girls with their father ran out the door without even having shoes on. Brian Dorsey is convicted of killing his cousin and her husband back in 2006. Demonstrators were here at 3 o'clock this afternoon, just 3 hours before his scheduled execution. The suspect, Matthew Thomas, was arrested several hours later, armed with a machete about 1.5 miles away. And as you can see behind me, I'm on a very busy section of Chippewa Street. The cars are just flying past me right now. That woman who was hit on Friday was trying to cross this street and make her way over to Ted Drew's, but was struck and hit by a car. The hail damage on March 14th was some of the worst we've seen in the last few years across the bi-state. Damage especially to homes, not to mention windshields. These rallies come days after police released body camera footage of the incident. One rally this afternoon in East St. Louis honoring Sonia Massey also held space for the 1917 race riots. I just spoke with a demonstrator moments ago who told me that she saw police knocking people to the ground just here at WashU where the encampment was. One protester didn't want to share their name but beat the drum anyway for Palestine. What's happening at other colleges, students getting detained, people getting honestly put in handcuffs for what you're doing right now. Does that make you worried at all?
No, I mean, that's what I signed, but I did 6 years in the military to fight for people, so that's why I'm out here. Like, I saw a medic being tased to the ground by cops, being brutalized while he had his hands behind his back at UT Austin. These recent AI-generated phone scams pretend there has been a car crash and someone's son or daughter has hit a person's bumper, demanding money for the damage, or they will kidnap their child. One of our victimized St. Louis County viewers remained anonymous on camera, still worried what scammers will do if they already have her phone number and daughter's voice. The president of the Steelworkers Union here in Granite City told me that he actually met with corporate just this morning. They told him that they're likely going to send out even more notices about layoffs, and there are going to be more layoffs in 2024. But his question is, if the price of steel is high right now, shouldn't they be ramping up production rather than slowing it down? The Highway Patrol report says the car reversed and struck this wall, hitting 3 pedestrians and causing one to die. In fact, it did not stop until it was inside Pacific Hair and Nail Spa, as you can see, causing an extreme amount of damage. The broken windows from Kevin's brother's car still on the ground the next day, not to mention one of his front windows that was also smashed and fell in on him as he was leaving the parking lot after watching the Mizzou Bowl game. There was some initial outrage, but tonight the district says that teachers won't be involved as bus drivers and that email should have gone only to non-instructional staff. And you used the word trauma before. How traumatic is this for the American people in the sense of what can manifest, effects, side effects of seeing a world that we now live in?
When you have trauma, it's not like having any other illness.
Investigators will not say if the man died from police gunfire or of a self-inflicted wound. We do know that police responded to reports of a man firing shots at the clock tower outside City Hall. Continuing the dialogue surrounding Michael Brown's death, tomorrow, a Heal Our Cities concert at Harris-Stowe University. I spoke with a woman whose mother lives in one of these apartments. In fact, it was her little brother who was shot at on Sunday. They said there were about 26 gun casings just on Park Avenue in this area alone. Even on a very sunny Monday, thanks to some man-made snow magic, Charlie and his family were able to come out and hit the slopes after hearing the incredible news from the Make-A-Wish Foundation here at Hidden Valley Ski Resort. That 15-year-old suspect is currently being held by St. Louis County Family Court on assault charges. Doctors at Barnes Jewish Hospital tell me they have the 16th largest kidney transplant program in the country. Last year alone, performing 330 kidney transplants. We are in St. Charles County and we are on 70 heading down. I'm going to have you take a quick look at what I'm seeing right now in this storm tracker. The snow is coming in, visibility is going down. It's starting to get dark out here tonight. That 17-year-old girl is being held at a juvenile detention facility on charges of second-degree murder and armed criminal action. When you look at the photos of you and you're at graduation or you're in like these beautiful ball gowns, I'm sure you've probably looked at some of those photos or maybe looked at some of the coverage. Does that kind of stir any memories of like, oh my goodness, I would have never thought this is what my life looked like?
I look back at where I was then and the trajectory I saw my life traveling in.
Rich history of Cahokia Mounds. There is still more to be discovered in this rich soil. At this site in particular, there have been items that have been discovered that date back to 1100 AD. There are about 6 miles of concrete tubes here. The St. Louis Metropolitan Sewer District has hired a contractor to inspect and clear up any blockages they may find. 3 A. Pye brothers from Mizzou are home for Thanksgiving break. I asked them why would they want to be part of a funeral ritual for a man they'd never met. The apparent assassination attempt on President Trump that's being reported is clearly going to have some kind of an impact on the security of these political rallies. However, similar shootings have happened before, and I spoke with one former congressman who was caught in the crossfire. Former Illinois Congressman Rodney Davis was at a June 2017 congressional baseball game when a shooter opened fire.
These instances are tragic times. I will tell you from that morning, Annie, I have never been in a more horrifying, terrifying experience that lasted about 10 minutes until the gunman was finally taken down.
The Republican representative with the 13th district served for a decade starting in 2013. Davis now joining the chorus of Illinois and Missouri politicians reacting to Saturday's shooting. The Illinois Democrat and U.S. Senate Majority Whip Dick Durbin saying, quote, political violence is never acceptable. I'm keeping the former president, the bystander who was tragically killed, and all who were injured or whose safety was threatened in my thoughts. U.S. Representative Mike Boss with Illinois' 12th district saying hours after President Trump was struck in the ear left bleeding in Butler, quote, Tracy and I are shocked by the news of the attack on President Trump in Pennsylvania this afternoon. We are monitoring the situation closely and praying for the president. We asked the Missouri Republican Party for a statement saying we look forward to a thorough investigation to ensure those responsible for this act of terrorism are held accountable. The impact this has had not only on the rest of the presidential race, but on the lives of those in attendance is hard to ignore for Representative Davis. What would you want to say to the people who were at that rally today, considering you've also been in a similar situation back in 2017?
Number one, you're never going to forget what happened that day. You're always going to be part of a historical day in American history that you didn't ask for.
Representative Davis told me that this political violence is inexcusable and should have nothing to do with whether you are wearing a red or a blue shirt. A scary story for him, he says, especially since back in 2017 he saw fellow politicians shot at that congressional baseball game, not unlike former President Trump.